Boom.
I'll tell you what is a madness. Even though I've just done the video, just done the watch along. Shout out to everybody that watched the watch along. Even though I have just completed the watch along, we've had to remove the badger in order to bring him back in, haven't we? Because we can't start a video. I'm that concerned that somebody go, why didn't we introduce the badger? I've had to remove I've had to eject the badger out of the video shot to bring him back in. So we know what time it is. Get that badger in and on and over here for the second time today. Hopefully, if the new job comes off, we need to get an 80% in because that's the contract is under. If we get the new job properly going, under functioning, we should be introducing the badger more than once a day. We've done the beer run, boys. So San Miguel, pop that tinny open. It's a pint can. 568, can't beat it. Cheers, everybody, to the 1-all. Bloody hell. We've put... That's really got me foaming. We've got 2 badges in an afternoon. That's all you need, Mingy. Perfect time to shout out Ming for the super chats. Sorry, for the memberships that he's handed out. Shout out to John, LUFC Garside, Ming, Pete Booth, the Blind Stag Astro, Legendary MVG, Mick the Crocodile Dundee, Sean Rooney, Southie, MVG, Render LUFC. Appreciate every which one of you, but a special thank you to Ming, who was deeply depressed the other day because he didn't get his shout out having handed out. But he also needs to appreciate that I was pissed up when doing the live. So yeah, we've introduced the badger. We've got him in and on and over here. What's everybody's thoughts on the game? I thought we started really well, to be fair. You'll get another shout out, by the way, Pete. That's just you'll get it in the ship vid. Do not fear. Justin, what's good? Thank you for joining me over here. I certainly think he did, Ricky Clark. Yeah, I thought Aronson, double A Ronson looked really good, to be fair. I thought he put a right shift in. He obviously created the goal for Peru's tap-in. They did create a couple of chances in first half. There's been a few things wavering about in a few group chats that I'm in that we didn't. We've got no creativity going forward and stuff, which I think is a little bit harsh. I mentioned during the watch along that the middle three, really, if you look at Liverpool in Klopp time and Newcastle to some extent in the Eddie Howe time, now they've got slightly better ball players, in fairness, with Bruno and stuff on ball. He does control the games a lot. But, Joe Linton's there just to work hard, breaks the foot, but still is close enough to the forward three, to the front three to still affect the game. It's not really a creative side of the game that. It's more, it comes down to pressure and, a sort of high line in defence. And then we've still got the cover from Ampadu, obviously then the 2 centre-backs. And if your full-backs get forward, you need Stack or Longstaff to go either way, to left or to right. I thought Longstaff... Stack and Ampadu looked like a really good three. Really good start to the game. I thought we controlled the game quite well. They are a decent side. They only finished 6 points off Atletico Madrid last year, so they are decent. I do think, obviously, when you start making changes, I know we make changes at half-time and stuff, and people do want to see the changes, and you do, but just naturally, you're going to lose... you're going to lose a little bit of structure, aren't you, within the team? And, just the player bonds, even though, they are just sort of filling the position. I mean, Gruev, it's just when you've played from the start, you're aware of the pace. You're sort of playing against the individual players. I can't remember who it was exactly. I think it might have been Roy Keane. I'm always everything I talk about seems to be about Roy Keane. I used to hate him now, but I just think he's a decent pundit. He's on about players sat on bench, and this is in no way in reference to today's game, but he looks at players and he thinks, are you watching the game as though you was in it? Because, players sometimes sit on bench, don't they, and they don't really look like they're invested in it, when in reality, you should be like, if I'm Gruev, and I'm not talking about Gruev, I'm just saying once you get on the pitch, it's like identifying your opponent, seeing like if I'm coming on for Longstaff, seeing what I'm doing, like where is he, what positions is he occupying, where do I think I could improve what he's doing. You're viewing the game from a totally different place, aren't you? And that is not to do with Gruev, I just mean in general. So sometimes, you're coming off at bench and you're coming into the game a little bit cold when you could be a lot better versed. And that is, as I say, no reference to anybody that's played today. But like 78 RPM says there, good workout. Farker will be happy with it. Yeah, I was just saying with the substitutions and stuff, it obviously does break the game up a little bit. and the partnerships that you sort of built, you all know your role, you all know what you're doing. It can break that up a little bit, but obviously we were bringing on seasoned pros like potentially Peru Parizli. Came on, gets his goal. I thought Mecha were good. He's a nuisance up top and he looks strong. I was hoping to see more strength from him against Man United. It's obviously he's looking for game time as well, really, isn't he, Mecha? I think Farker does fancy him. I don't know if we're bringing in another 9, but if we're not to, it's going to be him and Peru Parizli sharing it up top in it by the looks of it. So, hopefully can stay fit. And he had a pretty good chance that he sort of carved out for himself. I think it was Schmidt picked it up on edge at box. I don't know if he shanked it or it took a bit more of a deflection than a shank, or maybe a combination of the two things. And then it fell to the Mecha, but he really cleverly sort of carved it out, brought it down really quickly and got a bit of a pot shot off, which would probably off top of me, probably our best chance of the game. Sorry, of the first half. They did have a couple of balls over the top. They seem to find us in behind a few times, clipping ball forward. They seem to be able to find a way through. But they are a decent side. So Schmidt, I don't think had the best game I've ever seen of him. I thought I've mentioned it a few times in watch along, but I did enjoy his performances towards the end of the season, and I think he's quite good at carrying the ball in like sort of advanced areas or breaking into advanced areas. But in terms of defending, I thought he got a little bit chopped up, to be honest, and I thought his few touches were a little bit heavy. Could argue it just wasn't really his day. He's not played. He's also not even been in the pre-season games, so it's like it is difficult for him to sort of hit the ground running. Goodmanson's got a bit of stick in a few group chats that, I'm not so sure that is fair, really. 63 in room, hit the likes. Thank you, Justin Thomas. Appreciate you, brother. Let's get them likes up. Cozy on up to them likes. But I think it's a bit harsh on Goodmanson, to be fair. I think he looks decent. I don't know how sort of great he is at defending, but we say this all the time, don't we? Everybody goes, when we signed Bogle off Sheffield, everybody was like, but he's not good at defending. It's like, Firpo's not good at defending. I don't know. I think they pick another wing back. None of them are good at defending. They're all failed wingers in reality. Bogle's so good on ball. He looks frightening on ball with his touches and stuff. So, you can't have the yin and not the yang. It's very rare that, you're talking top quality fullbacks, aren't you, at that level, if they've got what Bogle's got on ball and then can defend as well. But I'm not knocking Bogle's defending or Goodmanson's. Ultimately, they just need to be a body there in decent areas, don't they? In the hope that they sort of get helped out. Be all with a bit of a loose pass in the second half. Again, people saying at the start of the game on Twitter that it's a championship defensive line. But in fairness to that comment, that does make sense, the comment, but it also was our championship defensive line. If you take Schmidt out and put Bogle in, it's significantly improved. But if you'd say if we'd have gone Byram instead of Schmidt in that starting lineup, we've got Goodmanson, which you'd have to, I don't know if it's an improvement on Firpo, because he was excellent, wasn't he, last year? I'm talking about if we're talking about in the championship here. Then we've got Pascal and Rodon, who ultimately that's who we got promoted with as them two as centre backs. I know Ampadu did a lot of work at centre back, and then you got, if it wasn't to be Schmidt, it'd be Byron, wouldn't it? So that was our championship defence. It seems a little bit harsh to label it in such a strange fashion. We've got Bogle to come back. Beal won't be there for opening game at season, so he does need to have a look at stuff. Also, no point just wasting everybody's time playing the same players constantly. He does need to have a look at the whole squad, doesn't he? And everybody has to feel as though they've got a way of making it into the side just so there's no one rest. They say that they have to do that throughout the season anyway in rotation and stuff. So if you don't think he's going to rotate during a friendly to some extent, obviously gutted not to see Peri Sauce. Messier obviously came on. He actually made a decent save for the goal, and then it just bounces out, and it's a tap in for that lad. We got done down right hand side. I think it was Schmidt got slightly caught out, and then Byron came on. I thought Byron was decent, and he came on. Standout player, really, to be honest, with probably double A Ronson. But I thought Longstaff, Stack, and Ampadu looked really good in middle. They were. I felt positive. I got a text off Locky about 15-20 minutes in, just like, I feel safe with these three in middle, and that is literally how I feel with them. I think big, strong lads. Two of them, the Stack and Longstaff, really looked like they were pressing quite high, and Ampadu holding the fort with the two centre backs. It also means that when Goodmanson goes forward, or what will be Bogle, but when Schmidt were getting forward, that Longstaff and Stack can sit in and sort of do the job out there. it also means I saw Struick strike, and this is obviously deliberate, but he was following the striker out quite some distance sometimes, like Bielsa style, maybe not that far, but it was sort of chasing him down for 15, 20 yards, sort of. So you'd argue, that he's out of position at that point, but it doesn't matter because Ampadu's there, and Ampadu's comfortable enough to sit straight in and become the new centre back, isn't he? So Struick and Strike sort of swaps with Ampadu at that stage. I still think Struick Strike is some loose passes. It's not even just the passes that he puts out of play. Sometimes he'll play a ball to say Goodmanson or out to Nonto, and it's a difficult ball to control. It's very near the touchline and stuff. Very near the, it's like if it's even a semi-poor touch, it's either out of play or they're going back into danger, into centre mid with touch. So that's one thing I'd say about Double A Ronson. One thing, I know we find him frustrating when it comes to creating and stuff. There is a bit of an argument to be had. I think whenever he breaks forward, say if it's Bogle or today it was Schmidt a lot, because obviously they were playing down right hand side together. Schmidt were burning forward, and then it's just like he puts it very much into feet. He doesn't play stuff far enough forward with enough zang. He don't put enough zip in the pass, so it holds play up a little bit, whereas it's just such fine margins. But if it were 2 yards further forward, it just lets the player run onto it, and then the attack really remains. Whereas I just feel like he sort of gives it's a little bit safe, and he gives it a little bit too much to feet, which means that the player has to hold up and halt. Obviously, when Nonto and Bogle are going forward, everything's played into the space in it for them to run on, and it is more of a gamble because you've got a chance of misplaying the pass. If you're playing it into feet, basically, you're going to get it right at you, and the player can adapt to it and slow down or whatever. But if you overhit it, it looks like a really poor pass. I'm not sure whether that's a confidence thing where you just don't want to be playing it on the basis that he doesn't want to give the ball away once. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because he probably knows the position he's in. He's going to struggle for game time. I thought it was good though in the front three. It got me thinking really whether or not we could go in the front three. Harry Gray obviously came on wide right. I don't think Harry Gray will feature much next season, but it does make me wonder whether if we do bring another player in, even if it's sort of like a traditional 9. I know we've not seen Nemecha out wide, and Nemecha is a centre forward, but it's not really out wide, is it? If we're looking for goals and creativity and stuff, could Nemecha go wide right and do sort of what Aronson did today? Harry Gray then went out wide right, didn't he? I'm not necessarily saying it, but Nemecha likes to get in behind. It looks like he can beat a man and stuff. It's not the traditional, when we play a 2-3-1, and then the wingers are very wide. At the moment, they are quite narrow. They sort of get in between the space with the right back and the centre back, or the left back and the centre back. I know Dan James is a lot more traditional, like he wants to get really far wide and get to byline and whip it in, or cuts in on his left and has a pot shot. But yeah, we do seem to be quite narrow. Like Ramazani doesn't really go out wide too much in this formation. I know he can. He's definitely got that in his locker. I thought when he came on, he was a good spark of energy, to be fair. I don't know why we're getting embroiled and involved with right back nonsense, but I'm nobody to talk about that. I was nearly fighting with one of only Leeds bros and during a charity match, which was all fine, and we was laughing about it after the game. He's a good lad. And it was just a misunderstanding, but it was all got a bit much. But it does in footy, doesn't it? But yeah, the reason why I'd say that with Ramazan is it's not really his game, is it? You don't want to be messing around, flying in, pissing around, shoulder barging and stuff. You're just winding other player up. It's probably more his game if he's actually full back, or it wasn't the centre back, it was right back, but you don't want to be getting somebody that's coming looking for you really. But Ramazani looked like a bundle of energy when he first came on. Really good bit of play. I'm not sure if it was Perizli that put it on edge at box for Ramazani, but he takes a good touch. It's the ball's slightly in front of him, so he has to lean quite far forward to get it. And it's sort of he is off balance, but he still gets his shot off really well. Really sweet strike, quite low. It's not quite in the corner because I think keeper don't get there if it's in corner, and then it's a decent save. I think then it didn't go out for a corner, to be fair, but yeah, he looked sharp when he came on. Tanaka, we didn't really see too much of Tanaka. Again, when you're coming in off at bench, it's like, there's big changes. If he'd have come on, I personally like to see just the one change, But I know with the friendlies, you've got to get everybody on. But really, that's why I've always I don't defend Farker when he waits and waits and waits and waits. I've always tried to say from last season, at 65 minutes, I think you can make one change, and I don't think it affects the structure of the side in any which way, really. I think they just come on and get straight into the game, fully aware of every single player that's on the pitch and the job that they're doing. When you start doing 2s and 3s, I think it either works or it really has an adverse effect for the whole team, really. So, suddenly, like, you don't know who you're looking for, who's there anymore, even if I know they're very well trained at this. But, at any level, if that's why I hate roll-on, roll-off subs when they do it now in Saturday and Sunday leagues. It's mad. You just don't have a fucking clue who's on pitch anymore. You look up and there was 4 minutes ago, there's a lad that wants to play wide right and high up and is fast. And next time you look up, it's some weedy old bloke that, wants it short. And you're like, well, what are you doing stood next to me? You want wing. I know it's not like that at professional level, but you catch my drift. We've had a mouthful of San Miguel. That's all it is. But yeah, a good run out. I think MVG put good run out earlier. Malcolm Mudd says Villarreal are a top Spanish team and we did play well. Yeah, they're only 6 points off Atletico Madrid, so they're definitely a decent side. Some good players, obviously Pepe, the old Alioski, Mythbuster. That was a mint day, that one. I can't remember if we got a result against them, to be fair, but he never really did it, did he? But definitely a decent player. Southie says, afternoon, Jack. Some good play today. We're learning about the new players and hoping they'll kick in. Also noticed, though, some keepers are different. That's all I'll say. Dallo made a good save early doors, didn't he? I don't think Mez did particularly all wrong. I didn't see what happened with him and Beal, or was it from a throw? I don't know if Schmidt threw it to him or something, and something happened. I think I was not quite there because the second half I was a little bit of a passenger during at times, to be fair. AO says, Jack, do you think 4-3-3 was the right formation today, or would it have been better suited to go 4-4-2 against a top team like Villarreal? It's going to be hard, AO, to get me away from this 4-3-3, to be honest, man. I think it works against any type of team. If we've got plenty at ball, it works. If we don't have any at ball, it works. So I think it's strong out of possession and it's excellent in possession. So, and I think all our midfielders are good enough on the ball to affect the game. So I'm going to stick with 4-3-3. Obviously, we need to be slightly malleable, don't we, in the Prem next year? But I don't think he'll be going 4-4-2 pretty much at any moment. I know a lot of people have said he might go 3 at back and stuff, but I can't envisage him doing that, to be honest. I think it'll be 4-3-3, or he will go with the 10. The idea of I know it's been bounded about Tanaka can do the 10 role. I don't think he can't do the 10 role, but I'm not. It doesn't. If we're gonna be using a 10 at times, we need to go out and get a 10, and I don't think we're gonna go and do that. I think we'll end up with another winger and another forward, another centre forward. So that's what I was saying, potentially, like if Nemecha can play out wide right, if they are a little bit more versatile and we play a little bit different in terms of like narrow forwards, because that sort of becomes, for me, and I don't want to dumb football down too much, but 4-4-2, you could argue at times he's played a lot. It's like at times today, I thought we were 4-3-3 throughout the whole game before anybody starts on me. But at times we were 4-1-2-3. 4-4-1-2-3. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that adds up. I don't know if I've done a Garth Crooks there. But where Ampadu's sitting, Stack and Longstaff get forward, and then we've got the 3 forwards up top. So it's sort of like, we've got 2 10s in there effectively, with Longstaff or Stack willing to sit in a little bit deeper. When Tanaka came on, it was much more like Gruev, and I think Stack stayed in there. And then Tanaka was slightly more forward. I mean, at times he actually swapped over with Peru Parisli, just in the press, never during the actual game. Similar to what Rutter and Peru Parisli used to do. Where if Rutter's doing the running, Peru will just sort of sit in the 10 role. So, but we're still playing 4-3-3 at that moment. Tanaka's just in a slightly more advanced role, like an 8 role, but it is 4-3-3 still. So my point being with the 4-4-2, there's too many numbers getting bounded about now, but 4-4-2. If you do go on Nemecha, say, and Peru Parisli, but Nemecha's slightly more right, even that you can still have a 2 at times. You know what I mean? You get an extra one if it's Ramazani out wide on left, or if it's Nonto or whatever. You know, that becomes part of the attacking line of 3, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Where he's really playing as a left winger, but just a high up left winger. So it doesn't really matter if you're narrow or wide, is my point. It's as long as people are aware of the new role that you're then playing in, you know, and you're looking up and you know that it's not Dan James that wants to go wide, right and high. It's Nemecha, and he's playing much closer to Peru Isley. So it's just about understanding your players that are on the pitch, really, and what the objective is. Be interesting to see, though, because the only time really when James is sort of going high and wide is when Bogle's on the ball, and that's definitely an instruction, and that's probably one of my favourite things that we do as an attacking force, because I think when Bogle gets on ball and starts driving forward, and James goes high and wide and just runs the left back does not know what to do. If the left back goes towards Bogle, Bogle's got the easiest pass in the world forward for James, and if he runs with James, then Bogle's good enough on the ball. So that is when we are at our most threatening. That's why I'm hopeful, because Nonto's good with Bogle as well, but we don't have that. We don't have that threat that we get with James when he's trying to just literally run the left back to the corner flag. I'm hopeful that Goodmanson's got that in his locker. I was saying a bit earlier, you know, that Goodmanson were getting some shit today, but I didn't really see it, to be fair. Again, he's probably not the best defensive left back in the world, but he's probably better at defending than Firpo, but he's not as good going forward as Firpo. So this is the yin and the yang yet again. We need to sort of know where we're at with players. And, you know, if Goodmanson gets it put on him at any stage in the season next year in the Premier League, he'll probably come up short. But so will probably any player that we currently have. You know, so they are going to try and identify weaknesses in our defensive line, aren't they? And it tends to be, you know, the right or the left back. I mean, I think Bogle will get it put on him quite a bit. That even at the start of the Championship last year, before we started dominating games, like heavily dominating, they were just sticking it up in air, putting centre forward on Bogle and just sticking it on him. So, you know, teams are very active when it comes to, you know, picking a weakness. I think it'll be, for instance, if we've got a ball player like Rodon who's definitely better on the ball than Pascal, the centre forward's going to stand with Rodon and not let him on the ball, and not let. So then it always goes through Pascal. Hopefully, Biol's better on the ball than Pascal, because I do think it'll end up being Rodon and Biol as the 2 centre backs. Interesting from the set pieces. Goodmanson, I thought, put some decent balls in. I think it was Stack that zipped it in across from. All the way through 6-yard box, had keeper scrambling. I think it was Rodon at back post, nearly got something on it. That was a brilliant delivery, and it's nice to actually see. It stunned me. It stung my eyes when I actually saw like a wicked delivery whipped in. But yeah, Biol can definitely win an header, can't he? And if it's, you know, because my worry was, you know, we've said before as a joke, haven't we, last year, if Rothwell ain't taking it and Struick ain't headering it, know what's happening from a set piece. But Biol can definitely do that. The problem is he's probably swapped with Struick, can't he, if he's playing. So on that basis, we've sort of lost an Ederer to gain an Ederer. Don't know if Ederer is a word, but Biol's probably, I'd have to argue, stronger in air than Pascal off you know, just the small bit I've seen of Biol, but it does look a beast in air. But it looks like we can be threatening from free kicks and corners. And to be honest, I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's not about... It obviously is about scoring goals from set pieces, but it's just been a bit of a threat. Because what happened last year and the year before, and even prior to that, even in Bielsa times, when we were shipped from corners and free kicks and stuff, nothing then ever happens from them. There's no frenzy in the boxes. There's no like, shit, he's going to win this header every time type of thing. So it ends up being like a scenario where it never even drops down to anybody. You don't have to win the header. It doesn't have to be a John Terry header where every time he heads it goes in, or like, you know, how Arsenal have been this year with Gabriel, with Saka whipping it in. You know, just at the start of the season, they were excellent. They got so many goals from it. Doesn't always have to be as clear cut as that. It's just if the ball can get delivered well and Biol's going to get something decent on it and get it back into 6-yard areas, you know, into threatening areas, then the ball starts bobbling about a bit. You just don't know who's going to tap it home, do you? Or something silly happens, or it gets a bit of a shank clearance onto edge at box, and then there's somebody like Nonto or somebody Ramazani or whoever that's got a bit of quality, Tanaka, a bit of quality on edge at box, and, you know, fire it home basically. So it just makes we're much more threatening from set pieces at this point. Agreed with this, Justin Thomas. If we can hit some likes, we've got 140 to 163 in room, but only 77 likes. So I'd appreciate if we could get them likes up, guys. It proper does help the algorithm, truly. And I appreciate every which one of you, as you well know. I've just seen that, just in that. I saw it before game that he's gone to Newcastle on a loan. Aerial threat, David McTaff. That's exactly what I'm saying, sir. I think I've got a super chat somewhere. No way. Southie, is that it again? Thank you, Southie. Get your name down here, brother. Southie's an absolute boyo. Shout out to Southie. Have it up on the sands. Don't overdo it. Drink away all. Enjoy. Cheers, Southie. Appreciate you, brother. Absolute legend. Get them likes whacked in, guys. We're on 162 in room and 80 likes, so we can get them likes up to 100, can't we? Southie is tearing me up. Nobody do it how he does it. He knows it by now. If you don't know by now, then you never knew. We've got Matt Leeds in here. I've just seen Aronson, double A Ronson was my man of the match. It was better on the right as an option off the bench. I would like him to come on the left. Come on the left and then right. I'm not sure whether you want him on the right or the left. But I would say, to be fair, Matt, I think he's a good option from the right. I don't think he's going to let you down. I've been saying it all season, all pre-season. There's no need to get rid of him. We won't get a great deal of money for him, and he will be useful right across the front line, won't he? So, other than up top on his own, he can even go into 3, really, if we're struggling a little bit. And as I say, in sort of like that Tanaka role where he's in the 8, which is probably his preferred position, in all honesty. When he was playing in the 10 last year, obviously struggles a little bit with creativity and stuff and his final ball. But I just think it's the hardest position to play on the pitch. So it's like when you're playing in that 10 role and you're constantly under threat. When you're out wide, it's whether you like it or not, it's easier. It's so much easier. Your back is to the line. You know that nobody can come and get it from you that way. You've got an opponent that never moves. The right back is, if you're playing left wing, the right back is always your opponent. He's always on the left-hand side here. And if you get the ball and he's on the right-hand side here, you're in. So you just set off. You always know which way you're trying to go. It's not like sometimes as a 10, you receive the ball with your back to goal. Sometimes you're on the half turn this way. Sometimes you're on the half turn that way. You got to be able to use both feet competently. You got to know when you're under pressure. Although you're always under pressure, you got to know how much pressure you're under at all moments. You got to know how quickly you need to move the ball on, whether it needs to be the killer pass or just a boring sideward pass, or can we do a 1-2? There's so many options, and if you're not getting it right 6 or 7 times out of 10, the fan base really do start to get on it. And I understand, because it's a really important role. But as it stands thus far, we don't look like we're playing with the 10. It's more of an 8, which I'm game for. Southie says, just support the boys. Dedicated Leeds tubers deserve it. Jack, thank you, Southie. I appreciate you, man. Honestly, you're an absolute legend. I know, mate. Bro, we did good. No thumping. Yeah, I know. I just make the instant reaction title. I make it before game, mate. So I can't remember what the Man U one was, but it was something like walloped or something. I can't remember. It's just, I'm not sure what I'm eating's about, Nick G, but I do have a track where I go, I'm eating. So I don't know if you've been listening to my music or not, but I know that's highly doubtful. But if you are, shout out to my guy, Nick G, for listening to Before I Die. One more for 100 likes, says Justin. We've got 102 likes. Shout out to every which one of you. Love it, boys. 162 in room, 105 likes. If we can get them likes up, honestly, it proper does help the channel, guys. And, it makes it all worthwhile doing. But I do appreciate every which one of you. You're all absolute boyos. So passing's only good when Tanaka comes on, says no. No way, Nick G. Thank you, dude. It is a fun track. I appreciate that you like it, as it's hard to get anybody to listen to anybody's music nowadays. Jack, when we beat Scum, I may buy you a bottle of Moe. Je ne sais quoi, Halas will be all over it. I'll have a few swills of it, to be fair, Southie, but only for having it together, because I'm not really much of a Moe man. The Southie there, just going to whack that back in there with the crazy 9.99 super chat. Obviously, the no Jack Harrison today. Was the no Dan James? Peri Peri Sauce was, I think he's picked up a knock. So I have heard there's not been much talk, not much credible talk about Solomon, although he popped up a lot in my live chat, in my live watch along. Not too much more about Geldart to Rangers, whether that's credible source or not. I think we'll bring in a winger and the centre forward. I think there's 2 more to come in. I think it'll be before the AC Milan game, to be fair. I think we'll get straight on with it now. Be interested to see what Farke says about that performance. I think he'll have enjoyed the performance. I think overall, like I say, in second half, it obviously wavered a little bit, but we were never poor at any moment. We didn't look like we were under cosh. Well, to be fair, no, we absorbed a little bit of pressure. I would say from about 50 minutes to 65, and then obviously when Ramazani came on and stuff, it did add a bit of juice, and we'd got the ball moving a bit quicker. And it's like alternate goals do change games, to sound like Michael Owen or something. But once you get the goal, I know it's a tap in, but it's well played from Aronson. It's actually a bit of a heavy touch, really, but he gets there first, and that's what being nippy's all about in it, and a nightmare. If he'd not been as super fit as he is, he don't get to the ball there, does he? He's a yard off it, but it's a poor touch, and then he gets away with it, which actually brings the defender in, does him a favour. And it's a really good delivery through, to be fair. It's a really good ball. Peru gets his leg across the first man, which means that he can't then clear the ball, which has been a criticism of Peru Risley, in his time at Leeds, because he doesn't get across the first man like people like Bamford do. Don't shoot me. Joseph attempts to, but I don't think he ever goes sort of 100% at it. And you do need to try and get across the first man, because it creates problems in behind you, rather than you might selfishly not be getting the goal yourself. But Peru Risley ultimately ends up creating his own goal scoring opportunity there, because he's got across the first man, puts him off, he can't clear the ball, and then there's an awful clearance, and then Peru sweeps up and gets his tap in. So yeah, and then there's just an injection of spice into the game. Then suddenly we're like, oh, we can create, we can get a goal, and then the crowd get the back up a little bit, and we get going, we get moving, and then we get the Ramazani chance pretty much straight after. It comes in little fleets, doesn't it? It's games of everybody says, oh, it's a game of 2 halves or whatever, but ultimately it's just phases of play in it, and you get 10-15 minutes where you need to ride the game out, bit of game management, knowing that your time will come. Sometimes it never does, and that's when you start to panic, really, within games and within seasons, really, when you're thinking, when was the last time we had a purple patch? Because really, you want, you wait in each game, you want at least 15 minutes where you think, well, we will bang on top of it. I remember particularly a lot last year when Bogle were flying forward. He always had a 10-15 minute patch. Yeah, Tory really sticks out in my head with that. He'd always be coming on late, obviously not off the bench, but I just mean in terms of his own performance. 10-15 minutes towards end of games, you just think, yeah, Tory's taking over here, and that you do need them moments in games that are long, prolonged. Not even necessarily pressure. It's just, as I say, crowd's got the backup. One thing we'll have, particularly at Ellen Road, it's going to be an absolute riot in it at all moments, to be fair. And if there's any tackle going in, any sort of half chance, anything, any good save, it's going to be a wild atmosphere. So they'll have no excuse in terms of, the lads being right behind them, or the fans being right behind the lads, which hopefully they are. Obviously, that can turn pretty turgid pretty quick if we're a bit shit. But I'm hopeful that we're not going to be. I think we'll look really competitive. Villarreal are a good side. Give a good account of herself. Everybody got minutes. Be interesting to see what happens with Joseph, obviously, because he spat Dummy out. Be interesting to see what we do with Gray, because he has featured in most of the friendlies. I do personally think he probably gets a loan away, because I can't see him being used in big. Every game's a big game now in Premier League, and it's risky business, really, and it's a big part of his career at the moment. It probably needs to go out and get some proper minutes at the moment. Because as you well know, if anybody that watches the channel, they know that I'm nowhere near. I'm not a fan of under-21s football. I think it's a bag of shit. So I truly think it's a bit of a waste of time. I'd like to see some statistics on how many top flight footballers played in the under-21s, because a lot of them might have been under-21. It's like, I don't know. Hey, out of 10, how would you rate our overall performance today, Jack? I think it'd be harsh to go less than a 7, just because I think 6 really is, obviously 5 you'd argue is, mediocre, obviously, as it stands. But, you start on a 6, don't you, in Champ Manager, or certainly 6 from my day. But if you go any lower than a 7, that seems really harsh to me. We certainly improved from neutral, didn't we? But then they did have a decent spell. I don't think we created a great deal, but I certainly don't think it's due to the middle 3. I thought that was one of the most positive parts of our game. Nick G's cheated me there, because I never thought about going to 0.5 out, and I'm not just stealing Nick G's rating because he listens to Before I Die, but I am, for the purpose of this exercise, going to steal his rating at 7.5, so I would agree with that. Not quite an 8, because an 8's a really sort of dominant performance, isn't it, without playing like into the 9s, which is absolutely class, isn't it? So 7.35 I'll go with, just to be slightly different, so that Nick G doesn't think I'm nicking his scoring. Love the platitudes, Jack. I'm not sure what a platitude is, so I'm going to Google it, because it might be a diss before I talk about it. Platitude meaning, a platitude is a remark or statement, especially one with the moral content that has been used too often to be interesting or thoughtful. I think it's a diss, is it? Is that saying a remark or statement, especially one with a moral content that has been used too often to be interesting or thoughtful? Yeah, I think it's a diss. Highlights have gone up on YouTube, says Fark. The boss, even though I think he's just dissed me. How many saves their keeper makes? Good shout. That's what I mean. They made one for Harry Gray header, but it was offside. I don't think we overly troubled him. The best 3 performers, I'd say Double A Ronson. I thought Stack were good. I thought Ampadu were good, to be fair. I thought he chopped up all sorts. I thought he covered for Struick, Strike and Rodon a fair few times. I know Joe don't like it when you centre mids save you at centre back, and then because he says you can't play centre back, but it can be done, believe me. AO says, thank you, Jack. I didn't watch the game, so a 7 out of 10 is a good performance as we go into our Milan match before we face Everton. Absolutely. Understood, Andy. You might not see me no more, though, mates. I might not be pottering around, but we'll see. But yeah, a good performance all round. Still excited. People moaned about the starting lineup. Not me. Longstaff was a bit wobbly, says Nick G. I'm not hopefully teething problems. I don't think he was, to be fair. I think he's really calm on ball and stuff. I know he misplaced a couple of passes early doors. There were a ball on to go forward. He sort of scuffed it a little bit and he got caught in possession once. But I'm not worried about Longstaff. I think him and Stack look really composed. And like I say, Ampadu were breaking a lot of play up. So I think them as a 3, I think they're a force to be reckoned with. It's just unfortunate for Tanaka, really, because I don't know where he then comes in. If Stack looks really good, Stack looks like a combination of Ampadu and Longstaff. So it's going to be very interesting to see what we do with that middle 3. It's going to be hard for Gruev to get in, that is for sure. But Gruev's look decent. Southie says, Jack, how many home games you get into this season? I'm jealous regardless, as I've no chance of going unless I buy a suit. Sweet. I'll be going to 19, mate. I'll be going to every single one of them. I certainly will. I'll be there on Monday night. I can't fucking wait, man. 100% El Loco. It's on like Donkey Kong, mate. I'm especially if I don't keep banging on about my new job, but I'll have a lot more time. And I'm off to go see my big bro Joe, because I think it'd be a right laugh. I think it'd be funny because, you know, sometimes I have no reaction sometimes when we score, and Joe obviously sometimes. I think we'll bicker a bit. It might be quite funny. So yeah, I think that'll be good. Obviously, Joe will be taking the lead. I'll just be sat in background like a weirdo, like a cook. But yeah, I'm up for going to see Joe, and we'll go have some food and that afterwards. He's a top lad, is Joe. Long, stiff Amps and Tanaka will be fire for us this year with Stack on the bench. Yeah, I think it's any combination of them 4 is amazing. Good while it lasted. Thank you very much, Andy. Yes, it was indeed. Everyone bickers with Joe. He's a top man. He's the Don Corleone, the greatest to have ever done it. Apologies for my platitudes, whatever that does mean. But yeah, I think that's a decent roundup, would you say, guys? The 2 of you together will get big views, hopefully, for the big man. He deserves them, doesn't he? He works his nuts off. So, but yeah, if you could like the channel, guys, or subscribe to the channel, it'd be much appreciated. If you can smash a like, we've got 138 in room, 123 likes, and that is on a conveyor belt. I know that these are all potentially new likes. So if we could get that up, I'd be much appreciated. I did mark, yeah, very, very, very marginally. It was a rough day. It was a tough day, big lad, but we got it done. We never, ever on a hangover skive work. I'd never, ever do that. I'd never forgive myself for it. So, because Then when you have to actually call in sick, which is very rare, but it's maybe once a year, if I had to do it on an hangover, you've got a drink problem, so I can't do it to myself. I don't know, mate. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure, to be fair. I'm a river to my people, Mark. We do all sorts over here. But yeah, that's the roundup, boys. Shout out to Southie for the £9.99 super chat. John LUFC Garside, Ming, Pete Booth, the Blind Stag Astro, Legendary MVG, and Southie, Render LUFC, and Mick the Crocodile Dundee, and Sean Rooney for the super chats and the memberships, handing them out like he's Santa Claus. It's much appreciated. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, AO. Appreciate you. Cheers, Southie. Cheers, MVG. Ming, Mark Jones, the lot of you. You're all boyos. Pat Dunn, boyos. Roller Blunt, Andy Rowe, for being my hide to the Jekyll. My name is AO as well. You're all top lads. Ina, I know. He's not here. He might be with Joe. Is Joe alive? He might be over with Joe. I can't hold on too long. It reduces the video retention. But yeah, I'm getting out of here. Ina will be. We'll meet again. Yes, Righteous One. Welcome. I've not seen you for a bit. You certainly have, Mark. Yeah, you won at Day Dotters, mate. I appreciate you. Certainly do that. Right, everybody, take it easy, boys. I will speak soon. There'll be a shit vid tomorrow. Peace. I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna hear your promises. You do you and I'll do me. That's just the way it is. Boom.